lot of people, when they shoot gassers for precision, they shoot them like a bolt gun that's super slow. They're not really heating the system up. It's all like, hey, I don't want to screw this group up. Like, it's getting to be a good one. It's got to be a good one. Like, you know, by not heat soaking the gun, you're not going to start to see a lot of those issues. But then you'll go shoot like a QP match where some of your stages could be 10, 20, 30 rounds long. Well, my brother in Christ, like, you're going to get some heat in that gun, right? And so if you're seeing thermal shift of the group, you know, from there's a couple things that can cause it. But if you're seeing that thermal shift, you might just think it's lost in the noise, same as a positional. But now if you stack, like if you're not using our gun, you're stacking positional shift with potentially thermal shift, you know, on top of your MOA decrease from going from prone to an alternate position on the clock. All these things start to stack against you pretty quick, right? And, you know, for me, I want to be able to rely on the predictable, consistent performance of the rifle so that I know if it's bad, it's me. I can usually identify what I did wrong, you know, calling the shot and figure it out for the next one. Answer
Number 11. Number 11 demo, huh?
Yes, sir.
How many you got out there now?
So the first 100 are in various stages of assembly. They've all passed QC. Some have been assembled and are awaiting testing. Some have been tested and are shipping this week. So we can average right now. We can get about between 80 and 100 a month out the door, and we're looking to be we'll hit a ceiling where we can only get us so many out. You know, lowest common denominator part, right? Like how many can we make of X per month? Really kind of limits us to, no matter how many assemblers or testers or whatever. It's just parts available. You know, you can only make so many at this level. You know, you could go faster and you could start cutting corners, but it's just not. Yeah. Then why? You know?
Yeah.
So. Well, before we get too far into the weeds on this, we better do an intro, right?
Yeah, so this is the Big Tex Ordnance podcast. We're out here at Shooter Symposium 2024. We're on day one. Got Jared Reston, Alex Hartmann from Ridgeline, and some other stuff.
Back again. This might be the first repeat dual podcast in
on
Big
location.
Tex Ordnance history.
Yeah.
On location.
And at the same location,
Yeah. I think we're sitting in the exact same chairs, too.
Probably.
I think we're
better
swapped.
lighting
I
this
think
time.
we're swapped.
No, I'm back to the wall. I like to back to the wall at all times. So.
Well, that's we're good here.
I know it's glass, but it makes me feel better.
Just waiting for distractions because we got Chuck there. There's hecklers.
Yeah.
Short in the room
from the
here.
peanut gallery.
Yeah, we got Jocko over here on the couch. Waking up at 4:30, yelling about his grass and shit.
Yeah. Is he going to come over here? Awesome. But we appreciate you taking the time out of your day or evening festivities to sit down and talk about what y'all been up to since the last time we saw you here, because y'all have had a lot of stuff go on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a busy year for y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all rolled out Bash Brothers.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It was phenomenal. It was awesome. Great event.
Lived up to its name.
It lived up to its name. Great shooters. Great. I mean, the range was awesome. Weather was great. I mean, it was an all-around great time.
Yeah, we set it up in the fall every year, so it's kind of like perfect timing.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome. Like Ian and Chris were up there, which was cool, is having guys up to see it because they've heard me talk about it and I've seen pictures and stuff, but getting to see it like real world, it's cool. It went great. First year run, so there's things that we want to do different for this year, and one of the things we've been talking about, three of us, is how we're going to kind of do it for the next few years so that it's never the same. Never the same thing twice. It's never the same, it's shooting guns, right? There's only so many ways to shoot it accurately. Got to kind of get it at the target, press it without disturbing it, and the end, right? But, the idea is, hey, if you've been to it before, you're not going to get the same thing again. It's going to be totally different every year, and we're looking at, we're already looking at years 2, 3, 4, 5 of how we could do it and grow it and do different things, but always focusing on that, client experience, right? So we're pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So for the listeners that don't know what Bash Brothers was going to be,
still is.
break it down for our listeners. What y'all did, who was there, and where it was at.
So it's at the Ridgeline facility up in Dalton, New Hampshire. It was myself, Alex, and Dan Brokos from Lead Faucet. It's a 3-day course, but it's not like everybody has a day, or you're not with one of us throughout it. You're with us three the entire weekend. So we're all teaching different things. So you're hearing how we talk about different things at one time. So it's not, well, he said this. Well, yeah, he said it, but I'm sitting right here, so we can say why. And not everything we teach is the exact same. So like, this is why I do this. This is why Alex does this. And he can say why, and you kind of get to pick and choose who you like and what you get to do. So it's kind of a pretty cool experience. And then afterwards is always, we end with some good range beers at the end of the day and good fellowship and go out to the restaurants and stuff. It's a good time.
Yeah, and the cool part too is like, so each day one of us kind of had the lead and the other two played AI. So like day one was Jared doing pistol, and then me and Dan are AI for him. And then day two, Dan was doing carbine, CQM and sort of his like, urban gunfighter type curriculum, and me and Jared are AI for him, and then doing breakout sessions here, there, and just like using the facility. And then day three was all like mid-range, not like SPR type stuff, but more like just LPVO, FMJ, like just your basic rack grade gun, but pushing it out to rifle distances, right? So 2, 3, 4, 500 yards in some cases. And then finishing up, taking a lot of the stuff that we worked day two with Dan and focused more on, positional stuff in and around cover and stuff like that on the morning of day three. And in the afternoon, it was like run and gun time. So like the whole facility opened up, just, hey, we call it our assault course. Basically, you start at one end of the facility, and everywhere you get to, there's like a whiteboard that indicates what your target package is. Like it says like range, location, target description, and so you're like observing, IDing, and then eliminating targets to move on. So it's fun because it gets guys moving,
working together as a team.
Yeah, we ran it as teams, 2-man, so it was kind of fun. Like,
oh, cool. So you got a spotter with you too.
Yeah, so you could either spot or kind of like shooter.
Two shooters?
Yeah, so we run shooter. So it was like if you were having problems, your homie could get on the glass and kind of help you out or make the immediate correction. But it was kind of, hey, you're going to navigate this entire course as a 2-man team.
Gotcha.
And you basically leapfrogged your whole way through. So
okay,
guys had a good time. It's rare that you get to do stuff like that, especially for the duration. So like, I mean, we're covering 3 stories worth of a building. We're covering about 500 yards of just sustained movement.
Oh, damn.
Running and gunning with our target package and a range fan that is just huge. So it's a pretty good time for the guys. So they enjoyed it.
Yeah. There's not too many facilities like Ridgeline in the United States that are open to the public.
We don't like to get too high and mighty. All I can see is what's left to be done. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people are like, man, it looks amazing. I'm like, that needs to get done. That needs to get done. That needs to get done. But we're diligently working on it. Like we came up with the plan first, and then we can just build as we go. Like a lot of ranges you'll go to, it's just kind of like, we need a range. We need another range. We were like, hey, this is based on the footprint, based on terrain, and based on like the capabilities that we wanted to be able to teach with. If we just move towards that plan, even if it goes fast or it goes slow, but eventually we're working towards that sort of final vision, right? And so we're just kind of continuing to chip away at the punch list until we get there. But we are unique because we're backstopped by a mountain, so we can kind of get away with pretty wide range fans. And then we've invested heavily in targetry and infrastructure. So
also too, like I think you're talking about like the wind currents and stuff through the mountains and stuff. Like that's something you're probably not going to find any other, or very few other places.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple other spots like Brian Morgan's place out in Idaho, Hat Creek, Todd's place down south, Texas. There's a couple other spots where wind out west is definitely a little bit more predictable and larger. We do get a lot of wind, and we have unique terrain. So like our proximity to Mount Washington is very, very close, which is like the highest recording wind speed in North America. So like we get wind. I know people on the East Coast are like, East Coast doesn't get wind. Like we do. It's just it's not as consistent or predictable. But the terrain makes it very weird. And the other part too is that you're shooting in like what we call wind blind. Mm-hmm. So when you shoot in alpine terrain, you're back usually inside of the veg. Whereas like out west, you're kind of out in those same elements. So like what you're feeling or seeing or measuring is usually kind of similar. Like cross compartment's different, but usually it's fairly similar to what your bullet's being exposed to. Where with us, we could be like, man, I don't feel any wind at all, and like, yeah, you're sitting in a batch of trees. But you get out there and you're like, oh, that was blowing pretty good. And like, miss re-engage. So yeah, it's definitely unique. And our partnership with, like we talked about last time, like the Rally School is a unique capability, and they're awesome to work with and just bring a lot to the table. So it's definitely playground for.
Every time I see a video that y'all post or anything, or you're doing something there, or whatever the video's on Instagram or whatever, I just look at the range and I'm like, oh man, y'all got it.
It is. He's going to be modest about it. It's like no other place. It's awesome. I mean, just it's beautiful capabilities you can do there. It's a great place to train. It is 100%.
It is nice for training, like, because we can count on, we know what we have. We know the infrastructure we have. We know the target package we have. We know managing the training from like a logistical side or an administrative side to ensure the students are getting the most out of it. You can't do it on the road like that, because you never know what you're going to get. You're like, oh, we're going to do alternate positions. All right, cool. I got like 2.5 VTAC barricades. Like, let's get
really
it.
Wobble.
Right?
Really wobble.
I need you to hold this while I do this.
Right. Whereas like for us, we're like, okay, we do positional, so we've got enough barricades to put the whole class on at once to work paper, get them through the positional stuff, and then be like, all right, cool. Now, those were the positions, kind of like, in a lab, if you will. Now let's go adapt them to real world props. And we walk back to our prop line, and there's the actual thing that you would be on, not just like a 3/4 inch piece of ply or some pretense. Here's the car, here's rocks, here's a fence, here's the X, Y, and Z. And like, oh, cool. Now we have targets of different sizes at different distances. So you can kind of push your way out, see what you can hold. Now we got movers. Now we've got, so it just allows for us in terms of planning the course and then executing the course. We can be hyper efficient, and then we can actually touch on everything we want to touch on and backstop it with that actual experience versus, just kind of talking about it.
Yeah.
Right? So we hear that a lot in like our police sniper courses. Guys are like, yeah, I went to a class and like they talked about vehicle hides. I'm like, well, check this out. You're going to go build vehicle hides and we're going to shoot out of them. Or like, we talked about hide sites. Cool. We're going to go in the sniper tower. You're going to build it, and then we're going to show you how to explosively and ballistically defeat near side glass. So like, we're going to go do that. We're going to blow windows. We're going to use shotguns. We're going to use explode. Like, we're going to do all this stuff so that they actually get a rep. Like, do I expect them to be a master of it? No, but they actually get a rep. They get to
they at least know what
experience
it feels like.
So it's
that's
awesome.
Cool.
How many students are you putting through a year?
So on the civilian side, open enrollment side, it's right at about 600 per year. Then law enforcement's another couple of hundred, and then our government stuff's varies, but it's usually another couple hundred as well. We run what we would call small batch training. So like, our classes are capped usually, unless it's contractually specified, usually at like between 12 to 14 students. It's a minimum of 2 instructors, sometimes more. And our whole goal is like, I would rather just do really good training, like properly staffed with a ton of individual feedback, than just push as many dudes through, for a 2-day class where nobody really gets the time or the one-on-one. Because especially a lot of the stuff that we do, there's a lot more nuance to it, and the opportunity to talk to our instructors and our staff who have like amazing backgrounds themselves. Like, they're going to give you the stuff that's not just the black and white. They're going to give you like, hey, I was here, this experience, that experience, this is why we did this, hey, we tried that, it didn't work because of whatever. And it's a little bit more like personal, and so I find that the students get a lot more. We're able to take them further and give them what we want at the end of the class. Like, our goal is always to give the students what they were hoping to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like, I'll use law enforcement for example, sometimes students don't even know what they want to get out of it. They're just like, all right, hey, they told me I'm going to be a sniper.
Yeah.
I will be sniper. Like, I'm going to courses here. Cool. And then they show up and they're like, I don't know. All right, so I got this gun. Like, what's up?
I got this yesterday.
Yeah. And
they gave me this one.
And we're like, all right, guys, like, hey, this is the totality of the billet that you're looking at from A to Z, right? Let's break it down. And in the 7 days that we have to make you that, understand that what we're giving you is the blueprint for a lifelong progression. And they don't know what they don't know. They don't even know what to expect except what's on like the bullet point, syllabus. Excuse me. But the idea is that if we can just give them that most for 7 days, hopefully they get back they start to work it themselves, and they create a true capability of wherever they came from. On our civilian side, again, 2 days, it's not a lot of time, right? But the idea is we break it down. So most of our curriculum, if you look at it, it's progressive, or like an ascension type. Like you start here, and if you can almost take the courses in. It's not technically like 1, 2, 3, but each course kind of focuses on the next part of what I would consider the progression of formal training in that platform. And so we work through that, you work through that, you work through that, or hey, work through that. I struggled here, I come back a few more times. The idea is just give them what they need to be successful in whatever their endeavor is. So the facility's a nice backstop for it, because it lets us plan how to do that well.
Yeah, and execute well every time.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And how many instructors you got up there with you right now?
So there are 4 full-time instructors up there, and then we have additional staff that can flex in, who are full-time as well, but are just currently working different billets. And then we also have a Rolodex of guys that are usually still working in some sort of capacity, whether it's active duty or contracting or whatever. And so we do cycle guys through that have like recent in-theater experience for certain clients.
Gotcha.
So we try to make sure that the refresh rate of what we're putting out in classes, especially specific classes like tactics-based and specialty classes, are in line and keeping with modern tech, modern TTPs, modern SOPs, and stuff like that.
And then you and Jared teamed up for a new rifle company, huh?
So, we the rifle is something that's been kicking around. So if you get in like the Wayback Machine, if you're ever that bored, and you jump on Instagram and you scroll our stuff all the way back to like 2018, before we even had the glimmer of a facility in our eye, you'll see that we actually started going down the path of doing rifles back then. And when we had the opportunity to do the facility, we kind of shelved it and went to do the facility.
Yeah.
And, that's to the point now where it's kind of running and going well. And, for me as the owner and CEO of the business, I'm always looking at, hey, I've got to keep these guys employed. If you're not growing, you're dying. And you can only train so many people for so many days per year at a certain rate. And so you realize that you cap the business. And for us too, like we're in northern New Hampshire. So like there's a whole few months that we're like snowbird, Florida, Texas, Arizona, like anywhere that's not there to train, right? And so looking at like how to grow, we always, kind of had this in our back pocket. And so a couple years ago, I was talking to Jared and Dan, and we were like joking around the idea of a rifle company. I was like, hey guys, actually like, I've already got the manufacturer's FFL. I've already got like designs, like kind of already, the train's kind of left the station. I just kind of pulled it back a little bit. And then I was like, I talked to the guys and I was like, hey, I think we're going to do this. And my guys were in full support. And so we kind of kicked it off. And so it's taken about 1.5 years, almost exactly, to get it through sort of ideation, where we brought all of our guys in, kind of gave like threshold and objective standards of what we wanted it to be able to do, highlighted key problems or issues that we had seen with existing platforms, and then let the good idea fairy kind of run, and then give it to an actual gun designer, who again, they gave it to an actual engineer, who then took it to actual project managers and start to assemble that team and build that out. So it's been a very interesting, like I was telling Chris earlier, like I've learned so much this year, things that I never knew or thought I knew, and I'm honestly just scratching the surface in terms of manufacturing and understanding it, right? But it's been a super interesting project, so we're very, very excited about what we've been able to put together.
Yeah, for those of y'all watching, they can kind of see the gun right here. It does. You probably can't see it too well through these cameras, but your Instagram's full of them. They look really good on Instagram, and they look even better in person. And I think we were talking about it earlier. It's not necessarily like one thing that you can point to on there that's like, this is what makes a difference, but there's a lot of little things. When you add them all together as a whole package is when you really start to see the benefits of it.
Yeah, we're blessed in the, like, if we had tried to do this to this level in 2018, like I said about you going our Wayback Machine, we wouldn't have been there. We didn't have the Rolodex.
Yeah.
We didn't have the bankroll. We didn't, honestly, like, not that like students are guinea pigs, but like when you see that many students per year going through like similar courses of fire, you start to identify trends, what works, what doesn't, why, and then as well as your own experiences, training, shooting, competing, whatever. So when you look at it, we put it all together and we're like, okay, cool. We had a really great designer. Like his background comes from like Accuracy International. Like he's been in the game for a minute. He understands precision, and he's a phenomenal designer, right? And so kind of we did it backwards. People say form follows function, and it should, right? But what we did is we're like, hey, these are things we don't like about other things that kind of do this the same way or kind of do it well, but they're not ergonomic or they're not user friendly for actually fighting with the gun. And the big thing that people miss, and I was actually just talking to Chuck and Fisher about this, is like people, and the M110 program probably did this for a lot of people in their minds. They're just self-loading bolt guns. That's how people treat them, right? Versus the idea behind it, like if you actually put a shot timer down and you went gas gunner to bolt gunner for like real world or simulated real world engagements, there's not that much time savings, if any. They were pressed into service in OIF because we had movers crossing linear danger areas, unpredictably, and you had to wrap, and we're not great shoot movers, so give them a lot, right? P for plenty. And so, like, what people forget, though, is that it's not just the precision. It's also the thing you have to fight in and out of position with. And so if you make it not ergonomic or user-friendly to actually fight with, you're missing the point, and you're back to kind of wielding this super unwieldy, awkward musket, for all intents and purposes. And so the idea was, when we started, was like, hey, it kind of has to do this. This is how it has to feel. This is how it has to be. And then we yelled the engineer that, and like the first few iterations, so I told them, like, I Apollo 13'd them, right? Like, all right, you got these glasses, this can, this, that. Cool, it's all got to fit in this box. And he was like, no. and he would come back with a plan. I'm like, nah, man, go back, do it again. And this dude must have been just motherfucking me, like, not in front of my face because I stroked his checks, but like definitely behind the scenes, he was probably like, get on the call, and he's like, yo, fuck that guy, right? And but he ended up coming back, and at the end he told me, he was like, hey man, I really appreciate you not caving, because it forced me to do what I think is some of my best work. And I gotta tell you, as the guy stroking checks, I really wanted to hear that, right? Yeah. So we got super excited about that. And then to your point too, I wouldn't say anything on the gun is super innovative. At the end of the day, it's small from AR, right? What we try to do is iterate, take things we've seen or we've liked or we thought were good ideas, and then take them one step further or several steps further to get after that objective performance we were after. So,
can you talk a little bit about what some of those things might be?
And why?
Yeah,
absolutely. So,
deep dive for us.
So first things first. I'm gonna talk about it as I look at it, so everybody
tip to butt
in the audio world. Sorry, I'll do my best to paint the picture. So like, I think we all know
it's black.
Yeah, it's black. It looks kind of like a small frame AR. Yeah, it's black.
Yeah.
It's got some M-locks, pick rail. It's black. So really, what we all know is that like the barrel is the heart, right? Like the barrel is where the accuracy potential really lies, right? And everything else has to support that barrel in its endeavor to be as accurate as possible as part of what I call, the accuracy equation, right? So weapon, optic, ammo, and shooter. The weapon really comes down to the barrel. The thing that we see a lot in gas guns is sloppy tolerances. So that starts. So if you ever like dry fire a gas gun, you'll see it kind of wiggle, like the reticle will kind of move post dry fire. And what that is all of those little, even that like seemingly like minuscule slot between receivers or rail or barrel or whatever, or barrel extension to upper receiver fit, all of that moves, right? Especially when you hit it with 62,000 psi, right? So yep. The idea was support the barrel. So we started with the barrel, and the barrel was done for us. It's our profile. It's a hybrid, between sort of like an older SDM style profile and like an M4A1 like SOCOM profile. So it's a heavier, thicker barrel, which helps to, one, soak up recoil. Two, it also aids in minimizing suppressor droop, especially when it heats up. It takes longer to heat up, so we're seeing less thermal shift, etc. The gas system on it, it's, again, nothing that hasn't been done before, so it's a jam nut secured gas block. So what we did for that is the barrel's actually got dual tapers on it. So there's a taper on the shoulder that the gas block pushes into, and then a taper on the front end as well. And both the jam nut and the gas block are tapered. And what it does is, just like a direct thread suppressor on a taper, as soon as you shoot it to test fire it, you fully carbon lock the system. So it's got 360-degree contact. So we're not using set screws or a roll tin to pull it down onto the gas journal, which, in my mind, a post-stress relief machining operation done directly opposing the most violent redirection of force in the entire gun probably can't be good. Now, again, I'm not an engineer. This is my bro science. But it didn't make a lot of sense to me, right? So what we were able to do, again, because without using set screws or roll pin, I don't have to pull it, so I don't need that extra slop. So we have a really, really good, tight fit between the gas journal and the ID of the gas block. And we're also not looking at competing materials. So the gas block is 17.4 hardened stainless that's sitting on a stainless barrel. Moving back,
and it's 14.5, right?
These are 16s.
These are 16s.
Yep. So right now we're only doing 16s.
Okay.
We do have other lengths that will be coming out, but again, we're baby stepping this, right?
Yeah.
The barrel's done for us by Proof, who have been phenomenal partners in this entire endeavor. So they've been super awesome to work with, kind of really just rolling out the red carpet for us in terms of helping us, giving us a ton of their test experience and data. Like, hey, we've seen this before, it didn't work. We saw this before, it didn't work. Hey, we saw this was a good idea. We saw this was a bad idea. Even as far as sourcing custom barrel extensions, right? So like, they've gone above and beyond to really deliver and be an awesome partner to work with, which, as you guys know, and anytime you try to do a project, having good partners and vendors is just super critical, right? It can help you where you're not as strong. So they were awesome to work with. It's a 1-in-7 twist, chambered in 223 Wild. We're looking at on the 16-inch guns, it has an intermediate gas system. So it's a little bit longer than that standard mid. Again, just trying to smooth out that cycle of operations. And a lot of people don't know, but when a gas gun, the smoother that you can make, or the minimum amount of gas you can get in the system, the smoother that cycle of operations happens. It keeps you on target easier from shot to shot or catch and splash or whatever.
Yeah, your carrier's not like slamming around.
Exactly.
In there.
You don't get that huge increase in carrier flight, can on, can off, whatever. So we didn't do an adjustable gas block yet, and we do have some iterations that we'll work through coming up. But, we just wanted like, hey, stupid, simple combat type system where it'll just run. So, again, that's the barrel. It feeds into a custom barrel extension. So we have them done basically to hold a certain level of tolerance. We didn't want to accept anything in that tolerance band, so that space, that gap between the flange and the extension itself, a lot of times, all the time when you torque those things on, they swell. And what now you have is a larger OD at the flange and then kind of free hanging extension behind it. We're talking like within a thou, but there's still space, right? So you'll see a lot of guys that'll bed stuff. They'll use like Loctite 620, stuff like that. We kind of went a different route. We're using what's called a shrink fit, where we actually have a custom induction heater that allows us to kind of bring the receiver in a controlled way, so not open flame, not like I think it's good. It's this. It goes in this machine at this frequency for this amount of time, and then the barrel is there chilled to 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and we move it straight in right away, and then as it cools, it's a complete and total mating of the surfaces essentially, and it still allows us for us to do barrel swaps and maintain service. That's why like you could take this apart with basic tools. Like you don't even need fancy like gun tools. You could just go to like, I don't know, you don't have Sears anymore, but like wherever you buy wrenches at, and and you can literally take it apart with like basic tools. But it's better if you ever wanted to replace something to send it back, and that's like in the manual. Like, hey, we're more than willing to help swap barrels. Just send it back. Yeah.
We got the tools for it. We got the technology.
The secret sauce.
Yeah. Well, so the reality is like most people don't think about it, but like that uncontrolled flame heating of thermal fit, uppers. If you superheat 7075 T6 aluminum, above 350, 400 degrees for a certain amount of time, you're actually materially weakening the metal.
Yeah.
So you can have distortion, you could have potential failure. So it's not a great way to do it. That's why we go for the more controlled, precise technique of putting it together.
It gets too hot, the anode can
actually I was going to say it's a good way to fuck up your ammo. Yeah.
Legit. And so, I mean, people even look, like for those at home, if you're doing that, they make thermal paint that you can put on. So at a certain point in temperature, that paint will disappear, and you know you've hit that. So if you're doing thermal fit with yourself,
This is when you stop.
yeah, no more. Turn it off, break the wrist, walk away. So rolling back in, again, for us, it's all about tolerances. So beyond supporting that in the upper, our upper is actually elongated. So it does a couple things for us. So it's not new to have like an inverted barrel nut, which we do have here. It's more of a like a jam nut. But what we've done is actually lengthened the entire upper. So now when you go to mount different size optics, like you're never bridging. So you have more mounting options in terms of where you need to be for eye relief. Then underneath the handguard, which is a press fit on, is the elongated upper that we actually slide all the way through. And then our barrel nut is a steel sleeve. So again, that connection point, what people don't understand, is that's kind of the culprit of what we call positional shift in gas gunning. So basically, if you're on a bipod shooting zero and you're like, cool, and then you go to a barricade or a tripod, and all of a sudden you're like, my zero's off.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just you're shooting on a lever that for most ARs is directly connected to the barrel nut, and you're putting that tension on there. And what people, there's a really good video if you go on YouTube ever and like you want to go down the rabbit hole of like understanding this. I'll try to visualize it, but like custom rifle builders, if you've ever seen a custom bolt gun get put together, so bolt gun barrels are only torqued on, right? They're torqued against the shoulder. That's how it works. The threads, how finely they're cut and how well they're matched is really where the heart of that accuracy comes from. So if you take like a factory Remington 700 and you break that barrel off, just untorque it, don't even unwind it. As soon as you break that torque off, grab the muzzle and wiggle, and you're actually going to see the slop in the threads. And so what that is torque is holding it in place. You don't have the surface connection or surface contact between everything. If you see a custom gun, if you do the same thing, you go to install a barrel, even just getting a couple of threads on and then wiggling the end, you're going to see that there's no movement because of the increased lines per inch, the ID to OD fit, and the amount of surface area contact between those threads and how fine they are lets for you to have that perfect lockup. So we went after that. How do we do that in a gasser, right? And so what we did was, steel sleeved it and then press fit the rail onto that upper. So it's a very, very tight connection, and then it's secured in active tension with 3. So you see these little plates right here.
Yep.
So what that is, that's essentially
There's 2 on the side and there's one.
There's one underneath.
Yeah.
So what it is, they're roughly 120 degrees apart. So you have 360 degree pressure to the rear. You're not pinching or pulling anything at just the 6 o'clock. So again, we're looking for active tension because we don't want it to wiggle. We don't want it to move or anything like that. So it's under active tension. It's kind of like if you ever seen like a turnbuckle, you know how a turnbuckle works? It kind of drives things. So imagine that, but it's a vertical. It's a plate. It's a camming mechanism. So it's a really unique part. It's patent pending. It's pretty rad. The engineer was very, very proud of it. So I'm like, I definitely never would have thought of that. But awesome. So again, what we're after is just minimizing that positional shift. So if we go from bipod to tripod to barricade to sling, we've isolated the rail from the barrel completely, and then we've supported that barrel in its connection to the upper as well as we possibly can. So 100% surface area contact from the extension to the upper, a steel sleeve reinforcing the tube that is that upper extension the rail slides onto. So everything that we could do to support that mechanism right there is what we did. Moving back, the bolts are mil spec Carpenter 158 bolt. Nothing crazy there. It's a DLC or diamond light coating finish.
Go ahead.
You
You mentioned you had a different extension. Does it change the bolt face at all, or the bolt, or is it just like a standard?
So the interior is standard.
Okay.
It's the exterior size is really what we're after is tolerance, right? So you can, depending if you go with an M16 spec or a later spec extension, they're different sizes. If depending on which vendor you're getting them from, or like for example, if Proof is using multiple vendors for what is essentially an off-the-shelf part for them or component for them, there might be variances lot to lot inside of that.
Oh yeah.
And so for us, what we were like, it's hard enough to kind of bank on, as you know, like tolerances as is. So without adding the additional like moving target of, well, if we get these barrels in, the lockup sucks and now our accuracy suffers. If we get these barrels in, the barrels are still great, but with the extension difference, we're getting great lockup, we're getting great performance. And we only wanted to put out guns that could absolutely perform, at that maximum level. So that's kind of the deal with the extensions. Okay. But I mean, they're just really nice. They're nothing special. They're just really nice ones.
It's really nice.
So that's kind of the deal on that. Everything else, 7075 T6 aluminum receiver set. There's a billet receiver set. Called it Ambi-ish. So we do have Ambi, Ambi-ish. We've got Ambi magazine release, oversized bolt catch. So we were actually pursuing a Ambi bolt stop, and we had our prototypes had it, and I just wasn't really happy with it. When we're doing NATO mud tests and stuff, I just looked at I was like, this isn't what I would like. It kept me up at night, right? And I don't I'm betting my brand on this rifle going out to the world, right? And so I didn't want to put something that I was not 100% about. So the reality too is we didn't have an infinite budget, and Ambi bolt catch bolt release is a patent minefield. So I was like, you know what, Big T, we're going to pursue it on another model down the road, and then we'll look to potentially retrofit it back in the future. But at we could spend the next 6 months and $500,000 figuring this out, and we don't have the time or the money to do that. We got to go. Right?
Just for left-handed Jared.
Yeah, just for left-handed Jared.
He called me. He's like, "What do you think?" I was like, "Bro, let's just go." he's like, "All right."
I was like, the gun never would have been Andy anything if it wasn't for Jared. But so moving back, we got
rail.
So the rail itself, good call.
That's pretty
stay at the front.
It's pretty special. It's pretty special.
I forgot that people couldn't see. So the rail, it's unique in the fact that it's got a fully integrated ARCA rail. And because of how we did that attachment hardware, there's no, we call it the nut sack right here at the back, right, where there's, normally the hardware to secure it. So you've got just a flat surface running all the way back, which the nice part about that is one for balance point. So again, depending on your tripod setup and which magazine you're running, whether it's a straight 20 or a 30, that's going to dictate how far you really need to be off that tripod for setting. But what it comes down to is a lot of times people negate it, but having a flat bottom on your precision rifle makes such a huge difference in positional shooting. It takes that kind of lateral wobble out. It's very, very flat to shoot off. It rides a bag really well. The beef that a lot of them have is that most manufacturers that I've seen that do an integrated ARCA, it's usually the full M-lock plus the ARCA.
Yeah.
And what we did is I was like, no, the 6 o'clock, the OD has to match a URGI type gun. It has to be a fighting gun, right? That's it. I mean, small frame AR, it's got to be able to go in a house. It's got to be able to do all that stuff. So we were able to find a way where we could cheat that up. So the extrusion, we actually have, they're not available yet, but we do have complete M-lock forends as well, standard looking AR. But it's the same extrusion. We just have to mill off the extra ARCA and get right to work.
And this ARCA is pretty stout too. It's not a flimsy.
No, so it does a nice job of increasing the rigidity of that rail because you've basically put a beam under the whole thing. And then the ARCA that we use is a really right stuff licensed ARCA. So it does have all of the detents for the plunger to go up in to make sure that you're not driving through your ARCA and stuff like that. So, again, just looking to use what's out there, use to the best of our ability. So yeah, it's kind of it. But the nice part about it is if you hold it in your hand, it doesn't feel like you're holding a rail plus a plate or a giant 2x4 or anything like that. It feels like a fighting gun.
Yeah.
And that was something that I talked about, the ergos of making the engineer go back to the drawing board 5 times. It's no, I'm not giving that up. That's, as a shooter, that's what I want. So that's kind of that on the rail.
You want to talk about wall thickness?
Good call. So
this is why we.
That's why Jared's here.
Like I was saying, it's funny because the stuff that I've gone over internally a million times, I'm fucking
Of course you know that.
Why would you know that?
Why wouldn't you know that? So what we do with the rail thickness as well is it is the maximum allowable thickness that by M-lock. So M-lock, for people, you guys know this, most people don't. But when Magpul made M-lock, Magpul makes plastic. Plastic can't be made as thin as metal. And so a lot of metal rails or attachments and stuff like that are substantially thinner because they're within spec, but they're thinner than what the plastic would have to be, or the plastic would be, would break or be brittle or whatever. So we were like, well, shit, if that's the maximum allowable, well, that's the thickest it's going to be. So
let's do it.
We did it.
Yeah.
And we don't, because we streamline and trim the rail so far down, we don't get a huge weight penalty. So if you actually weigh our upper against a URGI upper, we're actually lighter which is wild. Even with the heavier barrel, like all in the gun's 7 pounds, before you kit it out. But so it does a really good job. Again, we don't want to bend it. We're looking for good, stability shot after shot for that barrel. So that's kind of the long and short on the rail. Obviously, Picatinny on the 12 o'clock. I'll bring that up. Obviously, it's good.
Four rows of M-lock, right?
Yeah, so it has 4.
And on the bottom.
On the bottom.
Yeah.
The bottom
Yeah.
of the 6
Okay.
o'clock.
So you can use that. So, he's got an Arca bipod, but with mine, I have a Ridgeline Badger, that just M-locks in. So it has usable M-lock on the bottom, too.
That's
so
cool.
It doesn't have to be an Arca bipod.
Yeah, you kind of use what you want. Some guys, they've converted to Arca. Some guys haven't. Some guys maybe will. So it is.
Once you use it, you will.
Nice, really rigid flat bottom, but you're able to use M-lock too if you feel like. Well, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So again, it's just about the designer is awesome. He's like, hey, I can do this. I'm like, well, then we should do that.
Yeah, it's like it's a free lunch, Yeah.
So that worked out pretty well for us. Again,
and for those that can't see, you got M-lock at 9, 3, 11, and 1, I guess.
Correct. Yeah, and then 6. Yeah.
6.
Yep. So it's just the sides there. We don't have the 5 and the 7 because we cheated it up for the Arca.
And your 11 and 1s is all the way back too. It's not like some will just have it just at the front.
Nope, it runs all the way back to. It can't run back anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's again super stout rail. We're very excited with the performance it's given us on the gun. The rest of it too. I mean, like I said, 7075 T6 receiver set. The thing that we are doing is kind of an obscene level of quality control at the component level. So we don't batch QC anything. Everything gets into, to the gas tube, we do individual QC on. And it allows for us to make sure that our fit is going to be good. So receiver sets have a 64-point inspection, right? For each, we're talking pin gauges, micrometer, we're going after it. And that's for every single receiver set that comes in the door. The barrel, after it passes QC approved and then it gets to us, goes through a 14-step process at our place before it gets mated to a bolt. So the final process for QC for us is we headspace it, headspace gauge it, but we use the bolt that gets married to it. So as you guys know in tolerance, sometimes bolts can be a little long, extensions can be long, whatever. So we marry that headspace during quality control instead of using a lot of manufacturers just use one kind of middle of the road bolt for go no go. We're actually matching that bolt for headspace before it goes down the rest of the pipeline. So everything gets double checked. So in assembly, there's certain stop points. Again, if you torque something on, like the gas block jam nut, for example, that gets checked by somebody else. Your barrel nut gets checked by somebody else. So when we go to testing, we've tried to limit as many potential pitfalls as possible from just human error, right? So I'm a huge believer that people don't fail, systems do.
Yeah.
And so we can just kind of bake in that step. And then the more hey, if we weed out all that stuff at the top, we don't have to deal with it when it gets to the bottom, right? So we might have a higher rejection rate, but it saves us the time. Yeah. So
do you test fire them?
We do. So they ship with a proof group. Test fire is the bane of my existence right now. So I think we shipped 17 this week. Because when we went to test, it was blowing 35 miles an hour, and targets were in movement.
You need an indoor range.
Expensive. I got to fly them all the way down to Houston, go to Conroe, go to the BTO range.
That gets just more expensive.
Yeah. So now the gun's $4,300. No, so but moving back again, it's all about those tolerances. So the receiver fits they're specifically mated for a press fit together. We're looking for we don't want that wiggle. We want the gun to be absolutely steady, like bolt gun type shooting experience. That makes sense. It's got some oversized controls. We're running a Badger Condition 1 safety right off the jump, so it's user configurable. Do what you want. They come with a Geisley SSAE trigger, and they run it's a Geisley dynamic charging handle or supercharging handle, but it's been white labeled for us. And then to the back, we may be looking at going to the Badger Gen 4 stuff when that finally rolls out. We have a great relationship with Badger, and for me as a scout sniper, they've been our guys forever. Yeah. So it's cool to have some of that lineage baked into the gun that now we're making.
Some good dudes over there.
Awesome. Jordan and those guys are stellar. And then getting to the back, we've got it's our end plate calcium nut, again, torqued, staked, A5 H2 buffer with a Springco green spring. Again, we're looking for that longer travel so we can kind of mellow out that cycle of operations. And again, it just allows it to catch. So can on, can off. It can kind of catch that bolt, slow down that cycle of operations a little bit. So the shooting experience a little more precise and predictable from the visual side of like looking through the scope at the target or at your impactor, stuff like that. It ships with a Magpul CTR buttstock, and a lot of people are like, why run a CTR? Like, why not like a PR? I'm like, I like an adjustable buttstock personally because it's a fighting gun to me. I want to be able to, set it up for me, set it up for whatever, claps it in the car, whatever I need to do. But it also, the CTR lends itself to a lot of aftermarket options. So the Arisaka buttstock kit, LaRue kit, risers from them, the Sun Shadow stuff, like John Hatcher's putting out the little cheek risers that go on there, 3D printed, that work pretty well. So there's a lot of modularity there for people that want that. My go-to is like it's sitting here. It's got the Arisaka bag rider on it, so I don't have that point digging into my rear bag.
I need to order some of those. They look good.
They're awesome. The one, ready for the pro tip?
I didn't even know those existed. We were looking at making one.
Damn it. Another good idea, foiled. Yep. The pro tip that I will give guys when they do the Arisaka deal is it ships with a limb saver butt pad. And what you'll find is doing like high-ready presentations and like that, the side will catch on close because it's an inch of really tactile rubber. So the Game Genie cheat code actually comes from a guy, Ken Good. He was a Navy SEAL, used to teach for the Surefire Institute way back in the day. And one of the things he would teach with combat shotgun is just taking electrical tape and wrapping it around the side. So the back is still sticky and exactly what you want, but it'll slide past your clothing, your kit, or anything like that without hanging up.
Yeah.
Because if anybody's ever done like a high-ready presentation or strike-ready, and you go to present, your shirt comes with it, and you're like not totally into the gun, it's kind of an abortion, right? So, that's just a little pro tip that they don't ship with the electrical tape, but you should find it. Or electrical tape coming from Big Tex. So
start stocking that too.
We have to add that to the catalog.
So that's kind of the once around stem to stern on it. We're not shipping them. Again, their test protocols, they have to produce a sub-MOA group, and it's not like a 2 or 3 shot. It's 5+ shots. We're making sure that these things produce not only positional shift, thermal shift. So one of the things that you and I were talking before, a lot of people when they shoot gassers for precision, they shoot them like a bolt gun that's super slow. Yeah. They're not really heating the system up. It's all like, hey, I don't want to screw this group up. Like, it's getting to be a good one. It's got to be a good one. And by not heat soaking the gun, you're not going to start to see a lot of those issues. But then you'll go shoot like a QP match where some of your stages could be 10, 20, 30 rounds long. Well, my brother in Christ, like, you're going to get some heat in that gun, right? And so if you're seeing thermal shift of the group, from there's a couple things that can cause it. But if you're seeing that thermal shift, you might just think it's lost in the noise, same as a positional. But now if you stack, like if you're not using our gun, you're stacking positional shift with potentially thermal shift, on top of your MOA decrease from going from prone to an alternate position on the clock. All these things start to stack against you pretty quick, right? And, for me, I want to be able to rely on the predictable, consistent performance of the rifle so that I know if it's bad, it's me. I can usually identify what I did wrong, calling the shot and figure it out for the next one. Or catch my splash and copy paste it on the target as quickly as I can. But the only way to do that is that level of consistency. And so that's kind of how we test them. We test everything at the sustained rate of fire, so 45 rounds per minute, doctrinal sustained rate. That way we can make sure that we are getting enough heat in the gun to see if any of those gremlins creep up before we ship it out to customers.
And you're just direct right now. You're not at any dealers such as Big Tex Ordnance.
Correct. Not yet. We don't have enough. Yeah. So one of the things that we did, and actually we have to do a better job explaining it because we've gotten some grief for it. People are like, I don't want to give you my email just so you can do a drop. Bro, we are not doing drops. Like, I know drops are the bane of your existence. Oh, God. Crashing websites and all the other things that I don't want to have to deal with, right?
We don't do drops. We put stuff in stock, bro. It's stock. Leave me alone.
So, for us, what we did is we kind of took a page out of, like, the luxury car book. So basically, it's like, hey, if you're interested, get on the wait list. And that wait list is in chronological order. So, like, we see where you're at in it. And as we project out in our component construction and outside operations, anodizing, etc. And then as things pass QC, we're like, hey man, like FYI, like now that we're through the first batch has been assembled and it's awaiting testing. Now we can be like, hey man, it's looking like your batch is going to land or be ready sometime in June, right? We'll keep you updated. A couple weeks go by, they land. Hey man, your receiver set showed up, they've passed quality control, and they're moving on into production. So we just try to be very communicative and like transparent, you know, with the customers. And so the idea being, you know, when your gun is ready, the one that we have earmarked or allocated for your position on the list, you're going to get an email from us that just has like one button, which is like, hey man, your number's up. If you want this, click here. And we know some people got on the list, maybe they just interested in it, they want to find out more. Some guys got on the lists and then they realized like, hey, it's a $3,000 gun, and they're like, nah, I'm good. Or some people got on the list and maybe like they lost their job. Like life happens, right? Yep. And so it's like no harm, no foul. If you don't respond to us within 72 hours, we just roll it to the next guy on the list. But we give each person the opportunity to have their own purchase and buying experience. So like whether they want to kit it out with accessories, they want it in a case, they want like X, Y, and Z. We're like, hey, dude, we're going to take you, like, we're going to hold your hand through all of this. Like, I don't know if you guys probably don't have this problem because you work at, like, the world's largest gun store. But for those of us that have ever gotten rifles or bought rifles in the past, you're like, all right, cool, now I need to kit it. I need all of this stuff. And you're like, you go to, like, 4 different online stores because nothing's in stock. Yeah, and then, like, your shipping was, like, $200 because you bought, you know, from everywhere.
From 5 different places.
And, you know, so what we try to do is just, like, we don't have everything. We're not you guys. It's just like, hey, if the things that we would usually kit this out with, sling attachments, bipods, the Arisaka stock rider, some different grips, some different muzzle devices, because we're not doing them like, oh man, do you have like this XYZ suppressor adapt? No, like I can't put it on you. Production is what it is. We're limited. We're small. I don't have the ability to kind of change that in the production cycle. Yeah. What I can do is give it, like it ships with what I like to call an A2 thread protector.
That's the best way to do it, man.
It really is. You pick your poison, man, you know, and we try to stock like popular ones, you know, the Surefires, some of the Huck stuff, the KGM stuff, just so guys can just get it with their gun. But I can manage that at a production level, and we can still give them what they need and want, right? So that's what we kind of try to do. But yeah, so it's, you know, a lot of people probably don't understand the list thing yet. They're like, what do you mean it's not a drop? Like, I'm not going to spam your inbox with like, everybody buy it, and you get there and there's none. Or like, everybody buy it and the website's down. It's like, no, man, we're coming to you.
Dudes are working. They're, you know, they might be on shift or whatever. They might be sleeping. You know, you never know.
So giving them 72 hours of soak time, like we felt was, hey, that's enough for you to be like, yeah, I want it. Or like, nah, you know, I wasn't interested, or I'm not interested anymore, or something happened. And like, hey, dude, no harm, no foul. We'll roll it to the next guy. I'm sure that next guy's gonna be super stoked. You know, and then eventually, when we work our way through this kind of backlog of the list, then we will be going to like select dealers around the country.
That's pretty cool that you're doing that. When you mentioned that when we were talking about it earlier, I immediately started thinking about the logistics of doing the emails, because that's like my thing that I do. I was like, man, that's a lot of work to get that, to go through those steps for an individual, but that is a really cool process that you're able to.
Like for us, it doesn't work because it might be 50 products we're trying to do that with. But when you got this one here, and then also too, it's cool. You're able to like kind of tailor the experience for the consumer. I think that's really cool. You know, and then being able to kit it out. You know, getting pretty much everything you would need, shipping at the same time as the gun is a really cool. It's kind of like the luxury car experience, like you said. Like that's a cool way to approach it.
We're taking one more page from that. So post sale, right? So a lot of time, I don't know how many times you guys have bought a gun, but maybe once, twice. Right? You know, it's usually that's kind of the end of it, right? Like you buy the gun and like you're done, right? And actually a lot of times you never have a direct line with the manufacturer. It's always through two-step distribution or whatever. What we're doing, and so this is right, like, bro, I got to introduce you to Paul. You guys can talk CRM till you're like, but what we're doing that's kind of cool is we're building in an owners group. So not like a Facebook group or anything like that, but it's in our CRM. Like if you purchase the gun from us, and then when we do finally get to distribution, there'll be a way for you to register. Basically, there's a QR code in the box. You open the gun. Yeah. There's a quick start pack of like barrel break-in, zeroing, you know, the quick 5 Ws, right? And there's a QR code. Boom, you sign up, and it automatically puts you in this owners group. So the owners group, one, allows us to talk directly to them. So different things, tips and tricks for training, you know, ideas, this, that, the other. What we're also doing is looking to roll out owners kind of meetups. So think like similar like the luxury car thing, like a track day, right? So you're going to come out to some different facilities that we have relationships with around the country, and there'll be a one-day owners only class. So if you're an LPR owner, then you're invited, for free to come out with Ridgeline instructors to like work specific things, kind of like a once around tune-up kind of day. And then the next day is going to be a competition that's open up to everybody in that area. And so the owners get to be in their own squad, and then everybody else gets to compete. And the format is going to be a little bit of a hybrid with both like close range carbine, like if USPSA carbine rings a bell for anybody who's around for like 2 minutes, like 10 years ago. But USPSA carbine mixed with your more traditional DM type stuff. So you're going to get to see or play. Like basically, I want to hem up the dude that's running the 10.5 just as bad as I want to hem up the dude running the 24-inch, 6 whatever. And so you can pick your poison, but you're going to run the full kind of operational distances of this platform. And so we're looking at rolling those out several times a year around the country to get guys out and actually putting it through its paces and having a good time with it and just developing that community around.